Shell taking a $5 billion potential
write-down.
That
works, David, because
for any number of different activities it was undertaking in the country.
Okay, so they spent that money, and then where is that infrastructure?
It's there.
And whose is it now?
Russia's.
And who can they sell it to if they want to?
Nobody.
Can't they sell China half of it?
I think they're calling it non-current. There's some item they have in European accounting that they're now calling it. Basically, we can't do much of anything with it, and so that is that's the write-down. By the way, these companies are benefiting a great deal from the underlying price of the commodity, generating enormous amounts of cash flow right now. We'll get to that in a moment. But these are not insignificant write-downs. The biggest is going to be BP, with the ownership of, was it Gazprom, right?
Yeah, and that stock's been the
we don't know what that number may be. It could be as much as $20 billion.
I would buy that stock.
You'd buy BP?
Oh, yeah. I mean, geez, it's nowhere near where it can be. They're very poor communicators in this situation, 5 times earnings. Now, the yield curve, the curve on oil is to go down, which is why when our government berates the oil companies for not producing more, they're looking at the curve and saying, if we start now, the possibility is oil's going to be less. I happen to be a big bull in the oil stocks because they've never been like they are. Even though they're berated for doing exactly what they're doing, which is producing something, returning cash to shareholders. I think they're about 5% in the S&P. I think they go to 10% in the S&P, like the old days.
You think they're going to double in terms of their
like
overall
the old days. Why not?
Cap is
$30 a barrel in the ground, selling it for $100.
Not
Good
bad,
business.
right?
Yeah.
That works.
That's do it in volume.
It works every time.
Yeah.
They're obviously getting some heat. You had what I call largely theatrical hearings yesterday.
Yeah,
Darren Woods, Mike Wirth show up, and everybody's like, aren't you gouging?
Who do you think handled it best?
I don't know. I'll let our viewers decide. Do we have this? Can we take a listen to Representative Griffith asking both Woods and Wirth whether they're unduly benefiting from the rise in gasoline prices?
Mr. Woods, is your company taking advantage of the crisis in Ukraine to keep prices artificially high in order to increase your own profits?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Wirth, is your company taking advantage of the crisis in Ukraine to keep prices artificially high in order to increase your own profits?
No, we are not.
Clipped, short,
to the point.
Well, David,
under oath.
The price. We acted, the Congress people, in your theatrical notion, they acted as if our companies create the price of oil.
No, as Darren Woods said, no single company sets the price of oil or gasoline. The market does. And that's based on supply and demand.
This is not a market like, there's some markets that are totally controlled. The aluminum market. Russia controls a lot of markets. We should have thought of that ahead of time. We had ample.
What were we supposed to think about ahead of time, Jim?
Well, we could have stored.
I mean, we were the ones who were telling everybody they were going to attack.
No,
Nobody
you could have stored. Some people managed to store things, and other people didn't store things. Don't you think it's interesting that Alcoa split up at the absolutely wrong time?
In terms of because aluminum prices.
Right, because they had the aluminum, so therefore they could have.
We sporadically come back to this conflict. The impact on global commodity prices. Where are you right now on that? What are you hearing, seeing, whether it's supply chain, whether it's scarcity of certain things? You keep pointing out what Russia and Ukraine, by the way, when it comes to food, certainly, and wheat, what they produce. But
13% of the world's calories comes from that area of what they produce. And they have to, if the war goes on, then we're going to have problems with ag, which is why I've been recommending AGCO and Deere. That's got to come down, though, because the American consumer has already taken it with gasoline. We've got to have the supermarket stuff come down. But it's not set by us.
It's not.
And we don't need a drought, and we need soy. And unless everyone goes bad vegan.
You haven't gone vegan yet, have you?
Have I watched that one yet?
What? What's it called?
Bad Vegan.
Was that a show?